Today, we are diving deep into what is, without a doubt, the absolute foundation for building anything in Flutter and Dart, and that's variables. You know, if you really want to write clean, powerful, efficient code, getting this right isn't just a good idea, it's everything.
So, let me ask you a question right off the bat. If you had to pick just one thing, one single concept that underpins literally everything else you do when you're coding, what would it be? Well, you guessed it. That's what we're here to talk about. Variables.
At its heart, a variable is actually super simple. Just picture a little box sitting in your phone's memory. It's a container. You put some information inside it, and then you stick a label on the box so you can find it again later. That's it. That's the core idea we're going to build on today.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1. What are variables? We're talking about the absolute fundamental building blocks of your code.
Now, not all boxes are the same. Each one is designed for a specific kind of data. You've got your basic types that you'll use constantly. An int is for whole numbers, positive or negative. A double is for any number with a decimal point. Any kind of text, that's a string. And for simple true or false logic, you've got your bool. Then, when you need to store collections of things, you'll reach for a list for an ordered group of items or a map for storing key-value pairs.
All right, Section 2, your variable toolbox. Think of the different ways to declare a variable as tools. You wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, right? Same idea here. Let's see how to choose the right tool for the job. First up, we have var. I like to call it the smart detector. When you use var, you're basically telling Dart, hey, you figure it out. Dart looks at the value you give it, in this case, welcome, and says, ah, that's a string. But here's the key thing to remember. Once Dart figures that out, the type is locked in. You can change the message later, but that variable will always have to hold a string. Next in the toolbox is final. The name gives it away. Its value is final. You get to set it exactly one time, and that's it. It can never be changed. What's cool about final is that the value can be figured out while your app is running. This example here is perfect. Datetime.now. We have no idea what the time will be when we write the code, but when that line runs, the app grabs the current time, locks it into that final variable, and it's set in stone forever. And then there's const. It's like final's stricter older brother. Its value also can't be changed, but with const, the value has to be a true constant. It has to be known when you are writing the code before the app is even built. Think of things like pi, which is always 3.14. Now, why bother with this? Performance. Using const, especially with Flutter widgets, tells Flutter, hey, this part of the screen will never ever change, so it can optimize like crazy and skip rebuilding it. So this table really breaks it down. When you need a variable that won't change, which one do you pick? Well, it's a simple question. When is the value known? If you know the value right now as you're typing, use const. It's faster. If the value will be figured out when the app is running, like fetching user data or getting the current time, then you use final. It's that simple.
Okay, Section 3, the Null Safety net. Now, listen, this is one of Dart's absolute superpowers. Don't think of it as a restriction. Think of it as a guardian angel for your code that prevents the #1 cause of app crashes out there. It makes your code so much more stable.
And this slide shows the core idea brilliantly. In modern Dart, by default, every variable you make must have a value. It's not allowed to be null, period. If you try to make it null, you get an error. Now, if you have a situation where a variable might be empty, like an optional guest name, you have to tell Dart explicitly. You do that by adding a little question mark. That's you saying, hey, I know this one might be null, and I'll deal with it.
Because Dart knows a variable might be null, it forces you to handle it safely. You've got a few tools. You can do a simple if check, or, my favorite, you can use the if null operator, those 2 question marks, to provide a default value, like guest. It's so clean. But then there's the bang operator, the exclamation mark. This is you yelling at the compiler, I swear I am 100% positive this is not null. Be so careful with this one. If you're wrong, your app will crash. All right, moving on to Section 4, Advanced Power-Ups. We're going to look at a couple of special keywords that are designed to solve some very specific and sometimes tricky problems you'll run into as a developer. First up is late. The best way to think about late is that you're making a promise. You're telling the compiler, look, I know this variable can't be null.
And I can't give it a value right this second, but I promise I'll give it a value before anyone ever tries to use it. This is a lifesaver in Flutter, especially for variables you need to initialize inside the init state method.
But late has this other amazing superpower, lazy initialization. Get this. When you declare a late variable like this, that under-heavy calculation function doesn't actually run. The code just moves on. It's only when you try to access result for the very first time, right there on step 3, that the function finally runs. Then, the second time you ask for it, Dart just gives you the saved result instantly. The function doesn't run again. This is incredible for performance.
Next, we've got static. Normally, a variable belongs to one specific object or instance of a class, but a static variable belongs to the class itself. This analogy is perfect. Think of a blueprint for a house. The street address for that development is static. It doesn't belong to any one house. It's shared by all houses built from that blueprint. If you change a static variable, it changes for every single object created from that class, all at once.
Okay, last section. Section 5. Pro-level best practices. We've seen all the tools. Now let's put it all together into a simple set of rules for writing code that's clean, safe, and professional.
A huge part of being a pro is knowing what tools not to use, and that brings us to dynamic. It's the wild card, the joker in the deck. It tells Dart to just turn off all its type safety features for this one variable. It can hold anything, a string, then an int, then a list. You only, and I mean only, want to use this when you absolutely have to, like when you're dealing with messy JSON from an API and have no idea what you're going to get back. Otherwise, avoid.
Another key to pro code is just good organization, and that's where scope comes in. Scope is simple. It's just about where a variable lives. A variable only exists inside the curly braces where you defined it. If you create it inside a function, it's invisible to the outside world. This is so important for keeping your code tidy and preventing different parts of your app from accidentally messing with each other.
So here it is. This is your rule book. Pin this to your wall. Number 1, use clear names. Number 2, go for constants first. Start with const. If you can't, try final. Only use a regular variable if it really has to change. 3, embrace null safety. It's your friend. 4, use late when it's the right tool for the job. And 5, avoid dynamic like the plague. Follow these and your code quality will skyrocket.
And I just want to leave you with this. It sounds simple, it sounds basic, but truly understanding variables, all these little nuances, it really is the cornerstone. Every complex animation, every piece of state management, every single skill you build in Flutter will rest on top of this foundation. Master this, and you're absolutely on the right path.